Hey everybody, I'm Jacob Castro and welcome to another plant guide here on Jacob's Aquarium. I'm joined today in this video by Connor, my dusky conure. He's going to join me today and he's just going to hang out here while we talk about this plant today that so many people have requested a plant guide for. I don't know why, because it's a very easy to grow plant, but nonetheless I figured I would make a video about it because you guys requested it. So that plant is Green or Myriophyllum Pinnatum. So as with every plant guide, we'll be discussing Green's color, propagation, compatibility, and its growth habits. I always seem to stumble on the last one. So pretty much Green stays true to its name. It is a green plant, a light green plant in particular. It looks really cool and fluorescent looking once it really has a chance to grow and spread out in an aquarium. I noticed that when I get mine from my distributors in Florida, they tend to be kind of a darker green, but once they've had a chance to grow in my pond, you know, they really turn this fluorescent green color, and under normal aquarium lighting, they just look really, really interesting. So as far as color, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful light green color. As I said, kind of fluorescent looking, kind of flashes, you know, it kind of catches your eye a little bit. So a really interesting colored plant, totally, you know. And if you grow this, you know, in the background of your aquarium, you have a really thick wall of it, I think it would just look absolutely fantastic. Okay, so let's move on to propagation now. So as with pretty much every stem plant out there, it's very easy to propagate. You could pretty much just snap off a stem, you know, or pinch one in half, you know, smash it down into your substrate and it'll grow a whole nother portion of this plant. So it's very easy to propagate, and being that it's a fast growing plant, you could really get this thing going in your tank quite quickly. You know, if you keep propagating it and keep, you know, planting those stems, you could have a huge wall of this plant in a matter of months, I would say. It's an incredibly easy to propagate plant, pretty much like most stem plants, you know, as I said. And you know, you can definitely have a lot of this very fast. So as far as growth habits, I've actually already mentioned it, but I'll say it again, it's a fast growing plant. If you're looking for something that is just going to take over your aquarium in a matter of months, it is this plant. This plant, I would say, probably grows about an inch every 2 to 3 weeks. It grows really, really fast. And you know, being that you can propagate it so easily, you can definitely get a lot of this and a huge wall of it, or whatever you want, you know, a big portion of it in your aquarium. You can grow a big portion of it in your aquarium rather, really, really quickly. Now, one thing to note though is that if you're someone that has a very, you know, intricate, or, well, not intricate, but very, if you're a particular person that really likes everything nice and neat in your planted tank, you know, you don't like exposed root systems or anything, this might not be the plant for you, because what happens sometimes is pretty much similar to like Liguidia, Rotala, you know. When you propagate this plant, roots tend to grow pretty high up on the stem of this plant. It's not just a plant that produces roots underneath the substrate, and the rest that's growing above the substrate is just the plant. So you kind of have an exposed root system, you know. You can probably just cut those roots off and, you know, like train the plant so that roots don't continue to grow above the substrate, but this plant does have a tendency of doing that. So maybe you could hide those roots by putting some rocks in front of this plant. As I said in the beginning of this video, it makes a great background plant, so obviously you can kind of hide those roots, I would say. If you grow this in the mid-ground, probably could be a little bit difficult to hide those roots, but it does produce roots sort of high up on this plant's stem, so that would be one thing to consider if you're somebody that really likes a nice, neat, clean aquascape, nothing that's exposed, you know. So it can be kind of sort of a challenge, but as for me, I would just hide the roots by putting a rock or something in front of this plant, and obviously grow it in the background of the aquarium. Now we move on to compatibility. This is something that you really need to consider before you buy this plant. This is not a plant that you want to grow with nippy fish. This plant is similar to Rotala lychee. That's actually the only plant I can think of off the bat that kind of relates to this one. This plant is similar to Rotala lychee, where suckerfish, Siamese algae eaters, fish along those lines tend to just destroy this plant. They will peck off all the leaves, and all you'll be left with is the stem of the plant. And obviously, the plant can't grow like that, so it'll die. So you definitely don't want to grow this plant with nippy fish. Neon tetras, small tetras, rasboras. I think gouramis should be okay. Dwarf gouramis. Fish along those lines would be better housed with this plant, because nippy fish just tend to tear it apart. And it is a very delicate plant. I would even say that you should be careful yourself handling this plant when you do propagate it or plant it in your aquarium. Because I've noticed, because I receive this plant every week from my distributors in Florida for jacobsaquarium.com to replenish my stock. I've even noticed that sometimes when I'm handling it, just the littlest slip or rough handling will remove a leaf off of this thing. So it's a very delicate plant. You definitely don't want to damage it and remove a lot of those leaves, because then the plant could possibly die. Because as with most plants, the leaves are what absorbs light, helps the plant grow. So without leaves, it's kind of hard for the plant to do that. So it's really something that you want to be careful with. This plant is very delicate, so be careful when you're propagating it, be careful when you're planting it, and be careful when you take it out of the packaging. If you buy from my website, just be careful with it. It's a very delicate plant. Alright, and last but not least, I just want to give you guys a few tips on how you could grow this plant properly and some of the experiences I've had with this plant. Now, I've said this in a lot of plant guides, and I will say it again. I will say it again. Every plant can benefit from CO2. If you have the money to invest in a CO2 system, do it. Because every plant out there will benefit from having CO2 injected in its growing environment. Now, if you don't have CO2, this plant will still grow perfectly fine. It's one of those plants that can grow without CO2, but of course, you want to add some nutrients to your tank if you're growing this plant. On jacobsaquarium.com, this plant is listed as level 1 as far as its care level. And that means that nutrient dosing and low light would be sufficient for this plant. So you don't really have to worry about highlighting or having a fancy CO2 system. Of course, as I said, every plant will benefit from it. But decent lighting, weekly dosing of nutrients, iron, potassium, nitrogen, phosphorus, trace elements, nutrients like that would definitely benefit this plant and help it grow and establish in your tank. Especially, if you're planting this plant in your tank for the first time and you're trying to get it going, definitely you want to have nutrients. So I would say that once it's established and if you have a lot of fish, you can probably rely on the waste produced by your fish to feed this plant. But I would say if you are trying to get this thing going in your tank, you really want to be heavy with those nutrients. You want to heavy dose a lot of those nutrients. Of course, not too much, because you can have algae problems and all kinds of issues. But just regular dosing of nutrients definitely benefits this plant. And of course, if you have a CO2 system, it'll definitely further benefit this plant and of course help it grow a lot faster. Now, as far as lighting, like I said, you can rely on low light to help grow this plant, but it's a plant that is not really that sensitive to highlight. So if you have a highlight tank, you have some really nice powerful LEDs or Kessel LEDs, over your plant aquarium, this plant can handle it. It won't turn yellow, it won't turn brown, it won't melt under those highlights. It'll grow perfectly fine. So it can handle a wide variety of lighting conditions, and it can grow in very minimum nutrient conditions. So it's a really easy to grow plant, fast growing plant. I would say the perfect plant for a beginner. So thanks everyone so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to check out jacobsaquarium.com if you're in the market for aquatic plants. This plant is on my website and it's only $2.99. Incredibly cheap. What more could you ask for? Also, don't forget to check out my Facebook page and my Twitter page, my Instagram. All those links to all my social media activities are on my YouTube channel, my front page of my YouTube channel, so you can check out all my pictures and Facebook posts, and especially Facebook, guys. Really check out my Facebook page, because it's a great way to stay up to date on everything that has to do with Jacob's Aquarium, all the new videos coming out and product reviews that we're going to be doing. It's just a great place to stay updated. Also, you know, sign up for our newsletter on jacobsaquarium.com if you're in the market for aquatic plants. That's also a great way to stay up to date on what's in stock, what's out of stock, you know. It's important that if you're considering buying plants from jacobsaquarium.com that you do that, because sometimes some plants will come in and they will be sold out the same day they come in. So and I send out the newsletter, you know, once a week, so it's a great way to catch, you know, the plants that you want before they're sold out, because, you know, you'll be able to see, oh, hey, this is in stock, yeah, I can buy it. It's a great way to stay updated. So you can sign up for the newsletter on the contact us page on jacobsaquarium.com. Okay, all right guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much. You guys are amazing. Thank you for subscribing and watching my videos and supporting Jacob's Aquarium throughout the years I've been on YouTube. I look forward to many, many more. And me and Connor love you guys so much once again. And we will see you next time. Have fun with your tanks, everybody.